Hello, friends, and welcome to episode number 35 of a Disney Life podcast. We appreciate you joining us today to talk about Disney wherever you may be. Our goal with this podcast is just to have a bit of a Disney life at home or on the go, wherever your life takes you. Just bring a little bit of that Disney magic to your day. So we're hoping we can do that for you today and each and every week. My name is Missy, and I am joined by my co host, Rachel, who's here with me every week to chat about Disney. Hi, Rachel.
Hi, Missy.
So, we're recording this just prior to the big storm hitting the East. Rachel and I are both going to be impacted by that. So, we'll follow up with that another week to let you know how things go. But if that was something that affected you, we hope everything is okay and that you were able to stay nice and safe and warm. We have a special episode for you today. If you're one of our regular listeners, you know that we usually have different segments of our podcast and finish things out with the top five. But in today's episode, we're going to double it up and we're doing a top 10. And the main content of today's episode is going to be a top 10 list of our personal recommendations for you if you're doing a solo trip to Disney World. This idea actually came from one of our listeners. Our friend Mark had mentioned it to me as a suggestion. I know that he listens every week and we appreciate that. So thank you, Mark. We're glad that you're one of our Disney friends out there listening. And we were able to take on this challenge today to come up with some different suggestions and ideas. Maybe we'll think of some outside of the box things to do if you're on a solo vacation to Disney World. So, Rachel, if you don't have anything else you would like to add into that, I guess we could just get started right away. Now, my
Yeah.
list is I didn't really number them like a countdown
Mhm.
of, this is the number one best thing. So I just figured if we just go through them, Rachel can share her list and then I'll give some feedback on that. And maybe it'll give you all an idea of some things you can do if you find yourself either on a solo trip or even just an afternoon with some free time. If you're traveling with a family and you're fortunate enough to have aunts or uncles or grandparents along with you to help with the kiddos and you get a little bit of free time, these might be some things you'd like to try out. So, Rachel, why don't you get us started here today?
Yeah, I sure will. So I actually based my list off of my own personal experiences. In the last 2 or 3 years, I've been able to take some solo days at Disney. Not a completely solo trip, but I've had some solo time to myself. And these are some of the things that I personally enjoyed. So I use that as part of my list. But I will say, let's start out with see some shows. I know shows can
Yeah.
sometimes, you may have some people in your group who aren't interested, they want more of the rides. But seeing shows, it's a great way to just sit back and relax. And it doesn't matter if you are by yourself or with a large group, there is room for you to sit and enjoy the show. See some great quality entertainment at Walt Disney World while doing so, too. So I think seeing shows is an excellent way to spend some time, and you usually have between 20 and 45 minutes of your day that seeing a show will take, so that's a wonderful way to only worry about your own tired feet or, if you're interested in the music or not, but seeing shows, I think that's a fantastic way to spend some solo time at Walt Disney World.
It's a good point. And I feel like one thing that we run into with my family when we try to see shows is we know what time the showtime is. And we don't necessarily always plan the best for it. So, Frozen Ever After is going to start at 2:25. You can't roll up at 2:25 when it starts. You need to get there earlier. And it seems to never fail. Somebody needs to go to the bathroom, somebody needs an extra snack. There's something that kind of throws the whole schedule off. So
Yeah.
this is one thing that as a solo traveler would be a lot easier to deal with and get
Yes.
in there. And you don't need as much space as you would if you had a group with you. So just pick what seat you think is the best and go enjoy a show. So that's a good one, great Rachel. And that was actually not even on my list.
Wow, well, there you go, so that that adds another one for you.
Yeah. So, well, I was kind of thinking it'll be interesting to see how much our lists jive together and
Yeah.
how many different ones we have. Because, as always, we don't chat through these ahead of time. This is a like real conversation that
Mhm.
two friends are having. We're welcoming all of you listeners out there to join in it with us. And okay, so now I don't know where to start because I thought I would just start wherever you started because I didn't imagine there'd be so many different ideas that it wouldn't be one that I have too. I am going to say, let's start. My first one will be to do something that your normal travel group you'd be with wouldn't want to do. So if you're a family who doesn't normally stay at the parks in the afternoon because you take a break, stay at the park the whole afternoon and see the parade. If you're a family that doesn't normally stay up to see a nighttime show, by all means, go and see the fireworks somewhere. Just try to do something that you wouldn't have the opportunity to do if you were there with a group, whether it be your family or friends or a group gathering, if you're a part of a group tour or something like that. Just do something a little out of the ordinary that you in particular would love to do that you wouldn't normally get to.
Yeah, I think that's a great recommendation and suggestion because when you are solo traveling, you only have your own opinions to think about and take into consideration. We talk so much about group trips here and they're fantastic, but that's a lot of moving parts that you have to
Hmm.
get to. And fortunately, a lot of our group travels we are with seasoned travelers where we don't feel like we need to have everybody see the highlights, do the highlights. Everybody can kind of split up and do their own thing at different times or,
Hmm.
break the group into smaller groups. So yeah, I love that because even in my own family, there are things that I love to do that they may not necessarily want to take the time to do. And so on these solo days that I have, these are my time to be able to do those.
Right. Yeah. Prioritize yourself. So
Yeah,
that would be nice.
yeah.
All right. What do you have next, Rachel?
So my next one actually kind of goes along with that. So I'm glad that you said that. And I said,
Okay.
eat at one of those restaurants nobody wants to go to you with you. I
That's a
think
good
that's
one.
what?
That's a good one. I don't have that one either. So good.
Okay.
Yeah.
So on one of my more recent solo days, I mean, we had been group traveling and people had left, and I had a day to myself. And I was at Epcot, and I thought, I can get a quick service location for lunch, or I can just check to see what is available for table service right now. And that's what I did. And I got a reservation in the Japan pavilion, and I went and got sushi. And mostly because, when I'm traveling with my kids, sushi's not an option for my children to eat at this point in time. They're not that adventurous yet. So I thought, hey, why not? Had a great view. And I am not as introverted. If you have not figured that out yet from our podcast, that I'm the introvert in this pair.
I didn't realize that yet, but
So,
okay.
maybe I'm a social introvert, I don't know. Anyways, but I actually dining alone is not something that I was particularly used to, but, I think it
Mm.
was a great experience, and it was a pretty quick experience too, so think about that one restaurant that you can never get anybody to agree on the menu for, and go and enjoy yourself.
Right. And along those lines, just, try something different. If you're
Mhm.
somebody who's used to traveling on your own, it's so hard to break the habits of our favorite restaurants at Disney World because we all have our favorites. If you're a big Disney World fan and you've been there, I'm sure there's a few that are at the top of your list. And it's so hard to miss those, especially when you don't have frequent trips. If you're only going every few years or once a year, it's hard to try new things. But there are so many fantastic restaurants there that I really encourage you, at least one on every trip,
Yeah.
to try something new, even though you want to try your old standbys as well. So, yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good one, Rachel.
That's a great suggestion, and, when I'm making reservations, I can pretty much find just about something to eat at any restaurant on Walt Disney World's property, but I'm always going to the kids' menus first to see, okay, will all 3 of my children who have very different taste, very different palates, will they find something to eat? So, it is kind of nice to be able to say, "You know what? I'm going to go for something completely outrageous that I know that they would not be able to enjoy something here."
Okay, that's a good one. I do have some that are food related, but it wasn't specifically what you had suggestion. Um, I'll go with this one. If you're traveling alone, but you don't necessarily want to be all alone the whole time, if you wouldn't mind chatting with others, give Beer Garden a try because Beer Garden seats you at longer tables with other parties. So if you want to just be able to have a meal and have some conversation, possibly make some new friends, a restaurant like Beer Garden is an excellent choice for that reason. And also because there's entertainment. They have a show going on there while you dine. It is an all you can eat buffet style restaurant, so there's plenty to have there. And it's conveniently located right there in Germany and World Showcase. So, right at Epcot, easy to get to on a park day. So, I couldn't really think of any others that do it that way. Could you, Rachel? Beer Garden was the only restaurant that I've ever eaten at Disney World where they will seat you with other parties.
Yeah, I'm trying to think, and I think that is it. but I think it's a fantastic suggestion because you can socialize or choose not to socialize because there will be live entertainment in front of you. So if you are on the side that, I just want to enjoy a meal, you have live entertainment at least to enjoy a meal and it doesn't feel as
Right.
awkward in there. But at the same time, you can meet new friends and new people that are traveling too, and or at least eavesdrop on a few conversations that can happen as
Right.
well.
Exactly. And, it's fun to hear usually the times that I've eaten at Beer Garden, which aren't many, but I've been there a handful of times. People always like to talk about what they've done that day. That's a great
Mhm.
conversation starter. Is this your first time at Disney? Have you been here before?
Where are you
What did you
staying?
what did you do so far today? Are you at a Disney hotel? There's so many easy questions to ask when you meet somebody new at Disney World. So I feel like in general, if you're not comfortable with strangers out in the world, I get that. That is me. I would not want to do that either. Besides all of our Disney friends out there, of course, I would dine
Right.
with any of you any day. But that Disney connection, I think, is what makes such a huge difference because we have that giant thing in common.
Mhm.
But when you're at the parks and, everybody else there is loving it too. So
Yeah,
easy conversation, I feel like at Beer Garden there. So, all right.
wonderful. Okay, so my next one would be to take advantage of single rider lines.
Okay. I knew we'd get there. I have that
Yes,
one
yeah.
too.
And that is a really fun one. So, right now, where you will find them, Expedition Everest, Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run, Remy's Ratatouille Adventure, Test Track, and I will say Test Track, if are able to split up your party, that's probably the best way to ride it at the moment. And
Mhm,
Rise of the Resistance, I will put a question mark beside that one because that one kind of seems spotty if the single rider line is open or not. So
mhm.
sometimes it is and sometimes it is not. Rock and Roller Coaster traditionally has a single rider line. However, I am not too sure if that's operating right now because of the changes that are coming. So, but though there are several attractions throughout, interestingly, I don't think there's any at Magic Kingdom that have a single rider line.
I'm thinking about it and I am not thinking of any off the top of my head either. No, but I'll have to check into that. But it is a great option, and I would challenge you if you're somebody who normally travels on your own and riding as a single rider is your normal thing, I think you should kind of make a fun game out of it. Like, can you do all of the single rider game lines like in one day? Like, if you
Yeah.
have a park hopper, can you hop from park to park? And how long will it take you? It's like a little bit of a personal challenge. How long will it take me today? And can I complete it? To ride all of the single rider line options in one day. Make it fun, make it a game. Challenge yourself a little bit
Mhm.
to keep yourself going because it is so easy to get to Disney World and park yourself on a bench and just sit there and people watch and have a snack and do nothing else and waste away the whole day. But there are
Yeah.
so many other things, as we're discussing today, that you could be doing. So if you are a solo traveler, challenge yourself, make up a little game for yourself, something to do, goals for each day so that you don't just end up wasting away the day on your own. So,
Right. Absolutely.
right? Okay. All right. So that was yours, right? So now it's
Yeah,
my
that was
turn.
mine. Yeah.
And if you have an alone day or if you're a solo traveler to Disney World. And this is very much unlike I would tell a family traveling. Get out of your regular routine and switch up your schedule. Let yourself take an afternoon nap so you could stay up later or get that afternoon nap so you have the energy to get up earlier in the morning if you're not normally an early riser. Experience the parks at different times of day each day. If you're going for a solo trip and you have several days there, even a whole week on your own, that you're able to do whatever you'd like, don't do the same thing every single day. Just try to mix it up. Sleep in some days, get up early other days, maybe table service breakfast one day, but a lunch the next. Just kind of mix it up, get out of whatever your regular routine would be, just to give yourself a different experience. And who knows, maybe you'll decide that works better for your lifestyle than you
Yeah.
realize. It's fun to change things up sometimes. We're not normally a family who's up late at night at this point because we've got kids who are up for 5 a.m. swim practice and driving to college and that sort of thing. So if you had told me 10 years ago that my normal bedtime would be 9:30 p.m., I would think you're nuts because that was not me. But times change and schedules change. And I feel like when you're on vacation, it's a time to maybe get a little bit off your schedule, enjoy those late night hours at the parks if they have them, maybe even some later dining. I know maybe nutritionally it's not the best to eat super late at night, but every once in a while you can get a day like that to be a little bit crazy and have a real late dinner and,
Yeah.
head to bed late and sleep in the morning. So
You're on
basically just get off
vacation,
your
right?
Yeah, do what you wanna do, get off of your regular daily schedule, and don't be afraid to take a nap because naps can be so amazing. I have absolutely had a solo day at Disney World when I opted to stay in my room at Beach Club and take a nap.
Yeah, I think that's fantastic, and you can do what you want when you want. You are in control of your own schedule. You are the only person that you have to worry about for bathroom breaks. I mean, it really is amazing how much you can get done in a day when you are solo traveling because it's all dependent on you. So with 3 children, we're in the bathroom a lot, and at different times. Nobody can ever decide to go to the bathroom at the same time. So, yeah, you'll find that you do have a lot of time to do those things, and interestingly, when I'm on my solo day, I find myself sleeping more too, so I
That's
like
what we
that part
need
of
is
it.
rest to power through the rest of the week, yeah.
Right.
Okay, I think it's your turn, Rachel.
Alright, so my next thing is to take a tour,
Oh,
and
that's a good one. I don't have that either.
okay, so,
Okay.
we've talked about our Keys to the Kingdom tour experience, and we everybody on our tour, we all knew each other, but that would be a good tour to take where even if you don't know everybody, it wasn't like there was a lot of time where you needed to socialize or anything like that, so that would be a good one on a solo trip. Behind the scenes would be because it's informative, and it's not very expensive. Starlight Safari, I think Animal Kingdom has some excellent tours, but Starlight Safari would probably be the best one in that area. Not at the park, that is over at the lodge, but as far as animal related tours, Starlight Safari would be a good one because there are many different people on there and caring for the giants. I think all those would be great tours to take if you are a solo traveler to take some time during your day, do something that may not everybody in your group has the energy level or the age, as Keys of the Kingdom does require you to
Mhm.
be 16 years old to be able to take part in.
Okay, that's a good one. And I like that the behind the scenes tour is not only inexpensive, but it doesn't take a ton of time either. So it's
Mhm.
something that you can add into a day without having to plan and commit your entire day to that tour also. So that's a good idea. All righty, let's see. I'll just go in order on my list here at this point, I guess.
Okay.
My next one is to stop in at a lounge that has bar seating. So you could be seated at the bar where you're able to see the bartenders work their magic, mixing the drinks and serving up the other guests, and also give you the opportunity, if you wanted to chat with the other guests
Mhm.
seated at the bar. And I thought to myself, okay, I've done this maybe a couple times, but not very many times. I wonder how many lounges there are that's actually a thing you can do. So I started just making my own list, and I am
Okay.
sure that I have left off many, but I was kind of surprised when I started noting them how many there are. Like I just kind of went in my head, like I have this revolving list in my head in the way that I always think of the Disney resorts in order, and it's like a whole thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, so surprisingly, the resort that I mean the park rather, the park that I consider to have the least dining options I enjoy may really have the most lounges because Hollywood Studios has the Tune In Lounge, which
Mhm.
is there by the 50s Cafe, and Oga's Cantina, where you could visit there. So there's two places right there in that park and really Oga's, if you haven't been there, is a pretty interactive thing. So that's cool. Even if you don't like Star Wars, it's a neat thing to see. Over at the Magic Kingdom, we have the Beacon Barrel now, which we've talked about recently. So that's a pretty cool experience. Obviously, that one you're going to need a reservation for as well as Oga's. Over at Animal Kingdom, actually, they have more than the studios. I think they've got Dawa Bar and Nomad Lounge there. I guess it's at two there. So, and those are both places I've spent time
Yeah.
relaxing. So, Dawa Bar is outside and
Mhm.
Nomads inside, so you can consider the weather there. Over at Epcot, you need reservations, but the Space 220 Lounge is a nice place, and you can get the food from Space 220 while seated at the bar in the lounge area. So that's a fun option if you've never been there or if you've been there before. Heading over to the resort hotels, there are a ton of options, especially at our deluxe resort. So there's the Tambu Lounge, one of my favorites, over at the Polynesian next to Ohana. The Dahlia Lounge over at Grand Destino Tower. I feel like Coronado Springs in general doesn't get a ton of extra foot traffic other than obviously the resort guests who are staying there and people there because they're at the convention center. But
Yeah.
since it's not a deluxe resort, it's not on a Skyliner or a monorail, I don't think they get as much foot traffic through there as all these other resorts would. Ever since they built Grand Destino Tower, it really puts that resort on another level. Maybe we should talk about that soon if we when we do another.
I love Coronado. I absolutely it's my favorite moderate on property. I love the
Mhm.
tower. They have some fantastic options there, so yes.
So, and I think Rick's is still there also. Their Rick's Sports Bar in the
Mhm.
original lobby building, that
Yeah.
it would be another lounge option to go to that
And you
has
have
the bars.
Three Bridges, which would feel like a lounge option.
Yes.
There's food there, but yes, absolutely.
Right. So, and all of these options will have some type of food there, some more
Yeah.
than others, and some are being serviced with their food from nearby restaurants also. Just we've talked about Tambu Lounge here before, getting the food
Mhm.
from Ohana. So Dahlia Lounge, and you can get some gorgeous views up there in the evening and even spy some fireworks in the
Yeah.
distance. Another favorite that we've talked about before is Geyser Point at Wilderness Lodge. And so I was there in December and noticed they had changed their seating. I think we talked about that a bit here.
Mhm.
It used to be a lot more couches and now it was chairs, but they do still have that large bar right in the center of that outdoor pavilion where you could be seated at the bar to order drinks and snacks. Over at Riviera, there's Topolino's Terrace. Of course, we all know that as a table service restaurant, signature restaurant, 2 credits on the dining plan, but you may not know they also have a bar up there and a bar area with first come, first serve seating. So both the counter bar and some counter height tables. That's first come, first serve. So that's somewhere that you can just swing by and get something tasty and have a drink as well. Over in the Yacht and Beach Club area, we've talked about them there, of course, too. There's Cruise Cup over at Yacht Club and Martha's Vineyard, which are just small lounges at Yacht and Beach Club, respectively. I could remember when we were down there a few years ago, it happened to be Super Bowl Sunday, and there really weren't a ton of options of places to watch the Super Bowl. And my nephew ended up like laying practically on the counter in a way at Martha's Vineyard to see the TV they had behind the bar. He was tiny. He's a little kid watching the TV. I'm not talking about a grown man laying on the counter
Okay.
at Martha's
He
Vineyard.
took up the whole
He
bar,
was
yeah.
a very small child at the time. And then, of course, there's the Perch over at the Grand Floridian, which is the new birdcage theme
Oh, yeah.
bar there in the lobby of the Grand Floridian. And that's a super fun place. And I'll add on to that that ever since they opened the Perch there in the Grand Floridian lobby, they do have some menus out at the table at tables in the regular seating area around the whole lobby, and they do have servers going around to take drink orders. So
Okay.
they basically, from what I've heard, turned the entire lobby into a lounge in a way. So that's a
Nice.
great place to relax and spend some time. And they have that pianist there playing the grand piano
Yeah.
frequently.
Well, I will have to check that out. I was going to check out the Enchanted Rose there next month,
Mhm.
so I'll have to check out the Perch too. That'll be nice.
Absolutely. Yes. So, yeah, those were just the ones that I thought of off the top of
Yeah.
my head. So, if I had looked it up online, there's probably even more. If our listeners out there are saying, how did you not think of this one? There's other options. Oh, probably, what's it called? Outer Rim at
Yeah.
Contemporary. There's a bar there too.
Mhm.
So, I mean, there's just so many options. Just
There are.
Territory Lounge over at the Wilderness Lodge. So, yeah, I guess my list was definitely
Yeah.
not complete. So, but tons of options where you can hang out at the bar there, order some food, chat with the bartender, watch them do their thing. So, it always impresses me how they know how to make so many drinks and things. So,
Yeah,
okay.
and I had, lounging on my list, so I'll
Mm,
piggyback off of this one when I add
okay.
to as my option for this one, but I'll just continue on with yours, yeah. So I do have a solo day coming up for my trip in February, and I actually made a reservation for Geo 82 just for one. Yeah, because I think that's
Okay.
also a great place that, just to be by yourself, there's so much that you can see. You have a wonderful view of Epcot, so you have a lot of people
Mhm.
watching that you can do. I love the menu there, and I love the whole atmosphere and environment. So yes, I lounging is I think it's one of our favorite things to do anyways at Walt Disney World, but,
Basically
um
anywhere. Yes. Love lounging.
yeah. But
Lounging
yeah,
in a
I
lounge, lounging at a pool. Those are my two versions
yeah.
of lounging. Okay. So, that was not yours. You said you're
That was
doing
not
another one,
mine,
right?
so I'm just
Okay.
saying I agree. Okay, so
Okay.
my next one, depending on the time of the year, I said sample a festival at Epcot.
Okay.
And
Okay.
what I love about this, what makes solo traveling easy is that you don't have people waiting on you while you're waiting in line if it's a busy day to try something. and there are trash cans and tables abound, so you can easily go and find a spot to enjoy your food or beverage at Epcot. And really, I think, and again, because I'm traveling primarily when I have children in tow, and the festivals, as far as the food booths or food studios, are not the most interesting for my children at their age that they
Mhm.
are. And so when I am solo traveling or traveling with just adults, it's much easier to be able to go and just enjoy the festival at my own pace. And so I would say sampling a festival would be one of mine.
Okay, that's a good one. I don't have that specifically, but I am kind of going to the same place here with my next
Okay.
one. And this is going to be very opposite of what I would normally recommend with children. And it is talk to some strangers, specifically cast members. And I would say best yet option would be in World Showcase because you have so many cast members from around the world there and cast members who can teach you about different places around the world. And while I wouldn't normally be somebody to wander around and talk to strangers, you can kind of feel things out and see, if somebody's not having it, leave them alone.
Yeah.
If it's a child, please don't say I sent them and sent you and said to talk to them. That is not what I'm saying. Leave the children alone, of course. But if you're out there and you want to make some small talk, the cast members are always a safe way to do that. They're usually a wealth of information and they're just some of the kindest and friendliest people out there. So why not just take a little bit of time and talk to some cast members in World Showcase and maybe make a new friend? So that's mine.
Yeah, I think that's a wonderful idea. And I think also that goes back to your checking out these lounges and sitting at the bars. Bartenders are fun to talk to, and they've seen a lot and experienced a
Uh-huh.
lot, and they are always there if you need somebody to chat to or if you don't. They're really good at their jobs, and it's nice to just
Uh-huh.
have somebody to say, "Hey, where "Oh, you're from here," and all that kind of thing. So I think that's really fun too.
Right, it
Yeah.
helps when they're all wearing their name and where
Yeah.
they're from right on their shirt. So that is a great
Right.
conversational starter there, whatever. Anything goes kind of when you want to
Yeah.
chat with them. I'm sure they'll be happy to chat with you about anything within the parks and, the weather and anything. So, but that's the kind of thing, if you had younger kids and you were trying to travel around the World Showcase and stop to chat to people, not every kid is going to be super into that. But I really think the more people that you bring into your life and the more experience you have based on other people's thoughts and ideas, the more well rounded and better person you can be. So I think Epcot is a great place to start that type of journey. So I think it's your turn again.
My next one, which we've kind of just touched on with various things of what you could do, but I said resort hop. I think this is a fun opportunity and fun time to be able to switch, as we've mentioned, switch your schedule up and maybe go check out a resort that you haven't stayed at before and you want to walk around. But even at your own resort, there are so many things that you can see and do and little nooks and crannies that you can find on your own. We mentioned Coronado. Coronado has so much that is located there. And I think sometimes it's just fun to be able to go out, explore your own resort, and then go back and take the nap that you want to take so desperately. So that's next on my list.
Okay, that's a good one. And when you said Coronado, I started thinking about moderate resorts and realized, I left even more bars off of my list of lounges because I thought of Banana Cabana over at Caribbean Beach. And of course,
Mhm.
there's some options at Port Orleans also. So, I mean,
Yeah.
and there's the bars out by the pools and at the food court in All Stars and Pop and Art of Animation too. So,
Yeah.
but they weren't quite the experience I was looking for with it. But
Yeah.
anyway, okay. I'm going to move on to my next one, which
Okay.
is something that many adults may not consider doing, but I would like to encourage you. And that is to go meet yourself some Disney characters. I mean, there are meet and greets there for Disney fans of all ages. It's not just for the kids. So if you'd like to go get in a line and get a photo somewhere with Mickey Mouse or whoever you may come across, go ahead and do it because that's going to be a fun memory for you and a fun experience. We all started with a beloved Disney character, I think. We could probably all think back to our childhood or even young adulthood to think of a character that was special to us or that we related to in some way. And if you have the opportunity to meet that character, it doesn't matter what your age is, you should still be able to give yourself that
Mhm.
experience. And if you'd like to, go ahead and get a couple photos with them because it's a fun memory. And sometimes you just want to look back at that kind of stuff. It's what brought this podcast to be is the desire to just want to have that little piece of happiness every day or every week to talk about our adventures and our travel and our fun times at Disney. And when you have photos to look back at, of things that you've done, you'll be happy that you had them. It's
Yeah.
better than thinking back to, "Oh, I wish that I had taken the time to see Princess Tiana when I saw her in Liberty Square, and
Mhm.
instead I just walked by." Go ahead and meet the characters you want to see, and by all means, get the photos.
Yeah, wonderful idea. And character interactions like that, they are not uncomfortable, they're not awkward. I know personally at times I've said, "Hey, can I just take a picture of you before I get into the photo?" And these characters know how
Uh-huh.
to pose just for pictures of themselves. And
That's right, yep.
that's a wonderful idea. You're not having to worry about anybody else waiting in line with you or getting restless or tired. I've often mentioned with children, I love to meet characters at buffet restaurants because we are not waiting in line. It's a lot harder for them to wait in line than it is for me. So that's a wonderful suggestion to go and meet those characters.
And there is almost always a photo pass photographer where there's a character, and they will use your phone for you, so you don't have to
Yeah.
worry about getting memory maker if you wanted
Mhm.
to go ahead and have that special shot. They'll take it for you with your own camera or phone, so
Yeah.
it's easy.
All right. I'm going
Somebody
to be a
recently
little.
asked me somebody
Oh, yeah.
recently asked me about a photo of me with a character, and I was thinking, "Man, I do not have enough photos of me
Yeah.
with characters." I'm always taking them of the kids, and I'm just somebody
Yes.
who doesn't ever want to be in the camera. I will
Mhm.
talk at you all day long. You can listen to everything I have to say, but I do not love being seen. It's just who I am. So that's kind of if I was somebody who made a New Year's resolution, I guess that would be one of them for this year is to kind of get in the camera shot a little more often.
Yeah.
Characters are a good place to
I
start.
agree. I see so many pictures of my children at the buffets with the characters, and I'm not getting up because it is about them. And
Right.
yeah, so I do agree. I need more pictures of Mickey Mouse at this age of my life.
And here's a tip. If you're somebody who doesn't like to have your photo taken because you're not thrilled with your appearance and because you're taller than Mickey or Minnie Mouse and you feel like a giant monster next to them, go get your picture with Goofy. I mean, he's so big, even if you're a tall person, you guys are going to be on the same scale there. You're not going to look like a giant trying to crunch the rodent. So find yourself Goofy and get yourself some Goofy photos. There's my tip of the week. We weren't going to do a tip of the week, but that right there is my hidden tip of the week right in the middle of today's podcast.
So, when you say that, just something popped into my mind. One thing that I miss kind of about this reopening phase post-pandemic were that there were characters around in spots where people could socially distance, but you could get a selfie with them. Do you remember that?
I do remember
One of
that. Yeah,
yeah,
you
one of
like
my favorite
stand
pictures.
8 feet in front of them. It was like keep
Right.
the total
But
six
I
feet
did
there and a
like
little
that.
more.
I did like that because you're not really standing in line, you just kinda wait for the character to notice you your way and get a picture, and you're both in it
Mhm.
together. One of my absolute favorite pictures that I have, this was, when masks were no longer required outdoors, and I was holding my middle daughter, and she was probably 2 and a half, almost 3 at the time, and we were at Hollywood Studios, and they would have Mickey or Donald or Daisy up on that balcony kind of right when you first walk in,
Like waving
and they
down
had
towards you. Yeah.
course, there were restrooms there on the right, and there was a
Yep.
balcony up there, and they would have a character up there just about all times of the day. So I had a picture of, myself holding my daughter, and Mickey Mouse is behind us. We're all looking at the camera. That's one of my favorite vacation photos that I have,
That's super
and
cute.
yeah, and it was easy. It was really easy just to go and get a photo. Now, again, that was not the same as hugging Mickey Mouse and interacting with Mickey Mouse. I know and realize and understand that, but that was a really easy way to get photos with
With
characters during that
characters.
time.
It kind as you describe it, it reminds me a little bit about how it operates in the Grand Hall on the Disney
Mm,
Wish class of ships, because they'll often have somebody up on that upper balcony, I guess it's on deck 5,
yeah.
looking out into the Grand Hall area, and you could either see them from down below and, they're up above you, or you can go up to deck 4 or 5 and then kind of be near the railing and have them in the background. So, we can probably do another whole solo episode someday on, Disney Cruise Line as well. That one would
That's
be
true.
fun too. So I
Yeah.
see that coming in our future probably someday. So, I think it's your turn again, Rachel.
Yeah, I'm gonna be a little bougie with this next one. I said take a spa day.
That is actually on my list. I can't believe that.
Okay.
Of all things, that's the thing we both came up with. That is not really like me at all. So,
Well, I will fully admit I have not taken a spa day at Walt Disney World. There are 2 spas that you could take advantage of. There's a spa at Disney Grand Floridian Resort and Spa. It's called and Spa. There's a spa there. There is also a spa, Mandara Spa, at the Swan in Dolphin. Even though this is not a Disney-owned property, it is convenient. It's located on Walt Disney World's property. It is very convenient to get to, especially from the International Gateway at Epcot. So, now, I do love taking a spa day on Disney Cruise Line, and
Mhm.
that's something I'm sure I will be discussing when we talk about our cruise in April, that I will be taking some time at the spa. But I think this is a really fun way to just be able to relax at Walt Disney World when you are on your feet so much. And I love a good spa, so that one's on
Good.
mine.
So I have also not had a spa day at Disney World. Again, just Disney Cruise Line with Disney
Mhm.
Cruise Line. But I do know over at the Grand Floridian, I did check into this a little bit just to see what they're currently offering. So they do have massages and facials, and they have some nail services like manicure and pedicure, and they do hair and makeup, and they have some services for kids and teens also with like a facial or massage or
Yeah.
mani-pedi type option. So full service stuff over there is something very different that I wouldn't normally do in a day. But if I had a day to myself and I was only paying for myself, it's different when you have a whole group of people. Everybody
Right,
needs to agree to
absolutely.
pay the price,
Yeah.
So that's a good one, I think. I guess the spa over at Saratoga Springs never reopened, did it?
No, not that I'm aware of. I think these are the only 2 spas that are operational right
Yeah,
now at Walt Disney World. If you've seen
I
any
think
others,
that's
please let us
correct.
know. And there was one over, at the Yacht and Beach Club area too for a while, but, that one's not
Yeah, I don't
operational
think there is
either.
anymore. Yeah.
My next one, this is not Missy's favorite place to go to, so I
I
don't know if it'll be on her list or not.
I feel like it's not. Where is it?
Okay.
Where are you taking you're going to Disney Springs, aren't
I
you?
sure am. I'm going to Disney
Now I get it. Seriously though, there's a ton of stuff there. So that is that's like a little bit it's like a sidetrack for me on my next one. But yeah. Go ahead.
but
What
it's
do
a
you
good
have to
way to
say about
spend.
it?
Yeah, well, I just said that's a good way to spend several hours, take in some of the shops. I don't spend a lot of money on anything that's not food when I'm on at Walt Disney World.
Mhm.
I buy a few souvenirs, but I'm not one of those we're loading up an entire suitcase full of souvenirs. It's just not how I travel. And so I love going to Disney Springs, eating, taking some things in, going to Dockside Margaritas. It's fantastic.
I'll roll right into my next one then because one of the things I'm recommending in my number 8 is at Disney Springs. And that is to go take advantage of some live entertainment offerings at Disney World. So many of us are aware of Yeehaw Bob over there at River Roost at Port Orleans Riverside. So that's live entertainment with him every evening in their lounge. There's also, I believe, still the pianist at Rose and Crown Pub. There's a Rose and Crown Pub musician. He's still listed on the website. I can remember years ago, this is going back quite a ways, when they had a character who they called Nancy the Hat Lady perform there. Do you remember her, Rachel? Have you
I
ever seen
don't
her?
remember that at
She
all.
was she was a lot of fun. So she was in the pub side, the bar side of the restaurant. There is a piano in the corner. I believe it's still there near where the far exit is if you were going to exit over by where the fish and chips stand is outside. And
Okay.
Nancy would be there nightly, and she had all of these hats hanging on the wall, fancy, fancy hats. And she would swap out her big fancy bonnet or hat or whatever on it, whatever it was, at various times during her show. She took requests and sang all different kinds of songs. And we have some pretty good stories that our stories we opted to not tell until our kids were older about the intake of their aunts and uncles at the bar, their alcohol consumption, and so on. Um,
Okay.
and Nancy welcomed them very nicely to sing show tunes. There's a Hello Dolly video out there somewhere, amongst other things. Now, I was there with my little kiddos at the time on that trip, so I did not stay and participate in that once things really got going there. But they did used to love my kiddos, even when they were little, loved going in there and seeing Nancy the Hat Lady sing. It's an area that, most times of the day, I think later at night you can't have kids in there, but that's actually maybe you can all day because it's not like there's an after hours thing like the park's closed and it's closed,
Yeah.
right? So I mean, they can go on Rose and Crown Restaurant. And you had
Right.
to go right by the piano to get to the bathroom. So that's how we stumbled upon her the first time and discovered she was there. So at
Okay.
one point, they just determined Nancy the Hat Lady was not going to exist anymore, but they do still have a musician playing songs there. So I have not had time for that probably in over 10 years, but I do need to make it a point, perhaps when I'm there next month, to check that out. And then swinging back over to Disney Springs, have you ever been to the Edison?
No, I have not, but I know it. My sister-in-law loves going to the Edison.
Okay, I have never been there, so I feel like we need to add this to our list of things for us to do.
Yeah.
I have heard a lot about it, and the Edison is a restaurant at Disney Springs where there's live entertainment. They've got some dancers in flapper styled dresses and some, I think there's some acrobatic stuff going on somehow in the middle, and like maybe some card tricks or like sleight of hand tricks. I'm not really sure
Yeah,
what all they do, but it's like a whole
I
like
know a couple of years
steampunk
ago
era.
yeah, there were people, like, with absinthe walking around. They were cast members who were, pouring absinthe for people, which not my kind of thing. I do not like the licorice flavor, but, yeah, so it was very much a speakeasy type location that and I
Yeah.
think it was adults only after a certain point, right?
I
There was, like, I think a
would
10 PM
imagine it
cutoff?
is. I think during
Yeah.
the day it may be open for all for lunch, but then later in the
Mhm.
evening when I think most of this entertainment would be happening, I believe is more of an adult venue, yeah, and probably no kids
Yeah.
in there. But there is a lot of live entertainment around. We had mentioned earlier the pianist at the Grand Floridian. In fact, I did see in recent months somebody post a photo of the Grand Floridian at Christmas time, and the pianist at that piano looked remarkably like Nancy the Hat Lady from my photos of
Uh,
2013. And
maybe
I
you
would
need to
love
find
to
out.
get I I can tell you without a doubt that Nancy was not her real name. And I saw her real name on her name tag on this photo, and I am not a stalker, but we had such a fun time with her. I would love to see her again and share some old photos with her from some previous trips when my kiddos were little. So that live music all over property is a lot of fun. I can't think of anywhere else though that has it besides those options. I think there's probably more at Disney Springs that I'm aware of because I don't frequent there. But as far as the resorts go, I mean, of course, you've got things like Hoop De Doo Review. If you
Yeah.
wanted to pay for the whole meal and ticket and show, you can do that. But as far
Scat
as
Cat at
complimentary,
French Quarter still
yes,
has live music.
yes.
Yeah, Scat Cat does. So, if you are staying at either of the Port Orleans properties, you could walk back and forth. There's a trail between the 2, but Scat Cat does. I can confirm that. I did hear live music there when we were there in November. We did not stay for it, but it's more jazz type, that will be located there.
Okay. Yeah. And I love that. I love
Yeah.
that Disney has real music happening live and that
Yeah.
you get to enjoy the talents of these musicians there. So they're amongst some of
Yes.
my favorite cast members for sure.
Yeah,
All right. I
and
think we're
I
down
will
to,
give a well, before that, I will give a shout out to Yeehaw Bob. He is his show is very family friendly. It is wonderful. You need to get there early when he is performing because he does not perform every night of the week. He does have his own website and you can see his performance schedule on there, but he is fantastic and very crowd friendly. My dad, who is a stoic, he has had my dad running around the restaurant before, not the restaurant, but the lounge area before during his show and set as he had all the men go up there and do that. And I have a few pictures. I don't know that I can find them of my dad and my husband going around the restaurant during one of his performance sets. So he is very, very great, and his hair looks fine. So if you've been to his shows, you know what that means.
well, I have not. So I do not
Yeah,
know. I could remember years ago staying at Port Orleans Riverside and hearing the show going on as we were entering the building and that sort of thing, but we haven't ever had the time to sit there and enjoy that. So I guess that is another thing for our list. We have such a list. We're going to
there's
just have to do this for
probably
years.
one for
This is going
you
to
that
years of research, Rachel. Years of
right.
research.
I say that I can do and that we need to do together. Okay, that's
Yes.
wonderful. Okay. So the last one that I have on my list is to explore World Showcase. I know Missy mentioned this earlier with talking to cast members, but there are so many just details, kind of museum type exhibits throughout several of the countries in World Showcase that you can really take your time and go and explore. The last time that I was there for a solo day for at Epcot. I went through Morocco. I love Morocco. If you haven't been through there, Morocco just feels like it keeps going and going and going. And so I spent some time in World Showcase just doing some of the things that I haven't been able to do in a few years and enjoying some of the hidden spaces and places that are overlooked. At Norway, in the Nordic church that they have there, there is actually a little museum inside of there. If you've ever seen people go in and out of there, you can go inside of that and see some artifacts and exhibits that they have. But I love to just take A lot of time. I don't say a little time. I love World Showcase. I think that is a fantastic part of Walt Disney World, and I highly recommend just go and see the sights, go and take in all of the details.
That's a good one. All right, for my final, all the way at number 10 here. Uh, I feel like a lot of mine have revolved around food and possibly drinks. This one is a more leisurely way to close out the night, and it is an option available at every single Walt Disney World Resort hotel. And that is movies under the stars. I love that
Okay.
Disney offers this. It's a relaxing thing to do. Depending on whatever resort you're at, the ambiance may be better than another one. I love how it looks there at Yacht and Beach Club, where it's out in the sand along Crescent Lake. The same thing over at the Polynesian and Grand Floridian there, down kind of close to where the water is and the sand. I can remember over at Port Orleans French Quarter, they had a gorgeous lawn area, and it was so quaint with the lighted sidewalks surrounding the area where they set up their screen. So if this isn't something you're familiar with, Disney runs a movie every single night on a giant inflatable screen that all guests at the resort are welcome to enjoy free of charge. It's often somewhere near where your little fire pit area is at the resort because they'll offer a s'mores package if you wanted to pay a little extra and make s'mores to go along with your outdoor movie experience. But you're welcome to take any food that you've brought from anywhere or even just sit there to relax. And when you check into your resort, they'll be able to provide you with the schedule for the week of what all of the movies will be. It's a different movie usually each night. So, not necessarily something most people want to schedule their whole day around to just get back and watch a movie, but it's just a really nice, relaxing way to end the day rather than being in a busy park. You don't need to eat or drink, it doesn't need to cost money. And it's some really quintessential Disney entertainment there because, this all started with the movies. So even when you are
Right.
there submerged right into Disney World, you have that opportunity to catch some Disney movies. So, and it doesn't matter if you're
Yeah.
sitting there with anybody because you're not going to talk during a movie anyway. So go see whatever movie you want to see.
It's a great idea, and I think Disney has really embraced the idea of rest days throughout the
Hmm.
years and being sure that
Hmm.
guests have
Rest,
plenty of
rest.
things to do if they choose to take some time at the resort. So that's a wonderful one. And I know in a recent episode we talked about the beach club, and that's one of probably the best places just to go and sit anyways. And then having the movies under the stars there is really nice and special.
Okay. So I just want to extend a thank you again to our listener, Mark, for the suggestion of the topic for today's episode. We appreciate you listening. We appreciate all of you out there listening. Please tell your friends about us. If you have some Disney friends, say, hey, have you guys listened to Rachel and Missy on a Disney Life podcast? Because they're so fun, right?
So fun. So
Clearly, that's what you all say. But anyway, we would love it if you have any comments, suggestions, or questions. If you'd like to submit a listener question for us, you could reach us at a Disney Life at storybookdestinations.com or podcast at storybookdestinations.com. We're also active out there on the socials. We've got a TikTok and Instagram and a Facebook group, a Disney Life Pod. Where you can follow along with some extra videos throughout the week of some things that we have going on. Rachel and I both have some travel coming up pretty soon, so we are excited for that. We're excited to share our experiences with you so that maybe it can bring a little bit of Disney fun to your daily life there, a little bit of Disney magic wherever you happen to be listening to this podcast. So until next time, I guess it's time to go and we'll see you soon.
see you soon.